This is the Bod Pod, the podcast where we welcome friends and experts to talk all things body image, self-love, and confidence. This is the Bod Pod. Hey BodCon, I'm Rachel K. Grimm, your resident hype girl and host of the Bod Pod, here to talk all things confidence, how we find it, keep it, and grow it. And today we have a legendary self-love queen that you've probably seen on your Instagram screen, Danae Mercer, on the Bod Pod. Danae Mercer is a travel journalist, content creator, and public speaker. She is a self-love activist, and her goal is to help women feel a little bit better about themselves. And she does so by pulling back the curtain on social media tricks, showing us how posing actually works, and chatting about mental health. With over 2 million followers, Danae speaks to women around the world every day, and we're so lucky that she's speaking here with us on the podcast today and at our upcoming BodCon conference. So Danae, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, what a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, girl, there's so much good to talk about in what you do and where you've been and the presence that you've created on social media. I remember when I was first really diving into the confidence space, I think as all of us on this like self-love journey do, whether we use it as a space professionally or personally, you are someone that, you know, you put in the words body, positive, confidence, your content comes up. You're truly an OG in the space and a face of the confidence movement. And women like myself and so many other women listening have seen you as that face. And so I want to know, to start it off, how does it feel knowing that that is what your image and your face and your body are associated with?
If you had asked me sort of 15, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, if I ever pictured myself showing up with my cellulite out on social media, I would have thought you were crazy. I would have said, absolutely not. Like in what world would I show my wiggles, my dimples, and even talk about my history with disordered eating or struggles I've gone through with fertility, you know, all the different things that I've been lucky enough to share on my platform. If you had asked me, could I ever envision a world where I'm so public about those things? I would have said no, 100 times no.
Yeah.
But it's so funny how life many times takes us in directions we can never imagine. But I think directions that are sort of always where we were meant to be.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful. I get to do my dream job. I get to interact with women that hopefully I'm helping, and they're certainly helping me. I mean, it's the best thing I could have imagined.
I often think about this space that we're in as being cyclical, because yes, you are out here sharing your life and sharing your experiences. And as you said, that's very vulnerable, but it's also very validating to other women who are experiencing it and seeing it, knowing that they're not the only ones and you're helping them, right? But to what you said, they help you in return by saying, hey, yeah, you're right. I feel seen in this. I'm not the only one.
1,000%. I think so many of us, I remember I listened to a podcast years ago with the therapist, and the interviewer asked, what's the reoccurring thing you see across all your clients? And the therapist said, oh, it's that every single client feels that deep down, deep inside, they're a little bit weird, they're a little bit shameful. And if they show who they really are, people won't love them.
Wow.
And I think that's something I reckon every single one of us could resonate with. We all have this fear that something about us isn't quite right, isn't quite normal. And if we show that, the world will laugh at us or mock us or turn away.
Yeah.
And I think the beauty of social media, and certainly the body confidence movement, is we've created a space where we can talk about those things. And it is the opposite of what our worst fears tell us. Instead of people ripping us down, you are surrounded by women saying, me too, me too. Yes, this is empowering. Yes, this is wonderful. And that's the greatest gift.
You mentioned that you've shared your cellulite, something that you thought you'd never share. I think that's something a lot of women are like, I never want people to see this. In fact, you know, we hear from women all the time, and I'm sure you do too. saying that they're afraid to wear a dress or a skirt or shorts or whatever the item might be. And maybe their insecurity isn't cellulite, but that is something that we hear a lot of women talking about. And I think we also see a lot of like brands and businesses trying to tell you how to get rid of it and how to hide it, right? But you are out here, you've gone viral multiple times from showing your cellulite. So I want to know if there is a woman who maybe this is her first time ever hearing anything about you, what would you say to her about having the confidence to wear what she wants to wear and show her cellulite?
Well, I think there's a couple of things I would say to her. First, always remember that there is a huge billion-dollar, it's over $70 billion now, a huge billion-dollar industry that profits off of our insecurities. Kind of the diet and that industry profits off our insecurities. So a lot of the things we feel about our bodies, while our feelings are completely valid, a lot of those lessons were taught to us by this big industry that wants to make money.
Yeah.
And so I think always holding that knowledge is really powerful. When whatever you're feeling, just to kind of push back a little bit and say, wait a second, who told me cellulite is a bad thing? Where did I
Yeah.
learn that? And on that note, over 80% of women have cellulite. So again, it's like looking at elbows and saying elbows are bad, elbows are broken, which I'm sure some horrible diet industry out there has done because there seems to be products for everything involving women.
Yeah.
So those, I would point out those two things. I would also say, allow yourself to start small. So
Hmm.
if you're not comfortable wearing a bikini because I don't know, maybe you've gone through pregnancy and your tummy is soft and it's smooshy and you have stretch marks or your thighs dimple, whatever it is, start small. So maybe you wear shorts in the comfort of your own home around people that love you for who you are, not for how you look.
Hmm.
And I think just very gradually allow yourself that space. You wear it to the grocery store, you wear it out with friends. I think you'll start to realize that no one is going to mock and judge and be harsh. If anything, people will feel more confident by
Mm.
seeing you being the truest version of yourself.
Absolutely. I love that. I also love what you said about the diet industry and bringing up insecurities. And I often think about the idea of there are insecurities that we all have that we never had until they were pointed out, whether it be pointed out by someone else, pointed out by the diet industry, or pointed out by a friend or a parent on themselves. And then we project that insecurity onto us. And just as we all experience those insecurities, we all want to experience that self-love. And it's so hard to, when you're deep in your insecurities, it's so hard to find that for yourself, right? But to see someone else, just as we take on someone else's insecurities, when we see someone else loving themselves, that is truly one of the most inspiring things. And I think just like lights a fire on us to be like, no, I actually want to like myself, you know?
Absolutely. I think when you see women comfortable in their skin, confident in their skin,
Mm.
showing up, I've started following some age positive accounts, and it's so empowering to see these women. They're like 50 years old, 60 years old, and they're challenging the idea of aging. And,
Yeah.
society says 50-year-old women need to wear potato sacks. And then it's this radiant woman dressed like super confident, super sexy, super bold, however she wants to be.
Yeah.
And for me, as someone who is growing, like I'm 37, almost 38, I'm like, oh, okay, let's challenge that. This is empowering. Like, you go, girl.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
I want to talk about like challenging, right? And people putting you into boxes. What's wild is you're in this space where you are crushing barriers constantly by putting yourself out there, putting your body out there in ways that maybe people have typically not wanted you to or wanted women to. And you're so confidently doing that. And you're creating a space for so many other women to embrace that confidence and feel comfortable putting their bodies out there too, whatever that looks like for them. What's been really exciting about it is the plus size community has had such an opportunity to shine and finally have a voice and finally feel seen and represented. And that is so incredible. But occasionally the con of that is that women who are not in the plus size space. They don't fit into that category just because of how their body is, are almost made to feel like they can't be the one speaking on body confidence. And I don't want to project onto you, but I would guess that that is something that you've experienced, being made to feel like maybe you're not the person that should be talking about body confidence because you are not a plus size person. So I want to know, despite all of that, how do you continue to show up so confidently in the message that you're sending?
Well, I think it's a very valid question, and it certainly is something I've had to learn how to navigate.
Yeah.
I remember back during COVID when I went properly viral, my account shot up from like 70,000 followers to over 1 million followers within maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
It was so rapid, the growth. And I went from having a very small bubble to having the world looking
Yeah.
at me. And just the feedback that I received, it was very intense for a while. And I almost stopped. I almost stopped talking
Wow.
altogether because I just felt I didn't know how to navigate it. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But I think I've realized with time that I cannot experience every story. I cannot talk about what it's like to exist in a plus size body because I've never
Right.
done that.
Right.
But I can talk about what it's like to, grow up in a world where women are told to be small and smaller and have that partially drive me towards an eating disorder and
Mhm.
lose my period and lose my hair and everything that happened after and have to claw my way back
Yeah.
to feeling okay in myself. I can talk about that. And it's not a story that will resonate with everyone, but hopefully the stories that I share will resonate with some women, and hopefully it'll make them feel a little bit better and a little bit stronger.
Beautifully said. I think that that is something that, yeah, a lot of us in this space struggle with, feeling like, oh, well, am I mid size? Am I plus size? Am I straight size? But to your point, um, regardless of size, we all are given the pressure to be smaller, and the smaller is never good enough. Right. And so you are helping us find our good enough right here and right now. I actually love, in your bio, it says helping women feel a little bit better. And I think that that is the key to confidence personally, is that it's not going to just be this like huge, big, immediate, grand confidence that you have. It really is step by step and little by little. And I think that's exactly what you're doing for women across the board, is helping them, just what you said in your bio, find that little bit better every day.
Well, that is really my goal. I mean, I think people look at my page and they see the cellulite and the posing tricks and all the stuff, and they say to me, they're like, "Wow, how are you so confident? How are you so sure of yourself?" And I mean, I don't know if I've ever been a person to walk into the room and be like, I am going to own this.
Yeah.
I am the superstar. I'm not, that's not me. And I think I recognize maybe a lot of other women have that same kind of almost like that delicateness, that little insecurity,
Yeah.
that fragility, where we just need to constantly be reminded like we are worthy, we are loved, and we are sure as heck aren't alone.
Yes. You mentioned posing tricks, and for anyone who hasn't seen your social media, you are out there showing us the way that like our bodies classically sit, and then the way that we're seeing like women pose when they are taking photos. And what's wild is when I see you posting this content, I think about how, yes, as women who show up online, we inherently do that, but I think I watch like my friends when I'm at a wedding, right? And we're all taking photos together. Everyone be like, oh, well, how do I stand to look smaller? And so I'm curious, two things. One, how did you decide to start sharing like these posing hacks? And two, what is the general response that you hear from women consuming this content?
I started sharing the posing hacks because I have a background in media. So I was a health and travel journalist for years. I was the editor of a big health magazine. So I was often the one behind the scenes on photo shoots, working with athletes, working with models, and helping to creative direct how they stood, the lighting, the angles, all that stuff. And you learn very quickly how certain tricks or hacks really transform how a body looks.
Yeah.
For instance, sunlight. You know, most of us are out at the beach in the middle of the day in top down sun. Top down sun is going to show every single bit of cellulite, every single wiggle.
Right.
And that's photographers shoot at sunrise or sunset, which is sideways sun, that really is so soft and gentle to your skin. It will hide a lot of those like quote unquote flaws, which aren't
Yeah.
flaws, but like
Yeah.
what the industry says.
Yeah.
So I think I reached a point where I realized a lot of women they don't know this because if you're not in the media world or the kind of
Yes.
modeling world, how would you? How
Yeah.
would you experience that?
Yeah.
And it just became really important to me to help pull back that curtain. You know, just I think of some of the women, especially the older women in my life, who have really never been exposed, especially before social media, exposed to kind of the stuff I talk about.
Hmm.
And I hope, again, I hope that just by seeing it's not their body, maybe it's just what they've been told, but also like if they stand like this and pop this hip, look, they can look like their body will show up differently. And
Yeah.
you asked about the feedback. So I usually get women just saying like, "Oh my gosh, this is incredible to know. Like I can't believe I didn't realize that." Sometimes I also get women saying, "Oh wow, I'm going to use that trick at my next like bikini outing. I'm going to use
Wow.
that trick at my next." And you know what? I am absolutely fine with both
Yeah.
because there are days where we want to sit comfy and our husband snaps a photo of us laughing with our baby and we look at that picture and we think, yeah, like I'm happy and I'm sitting comfy and my tummy is smooshy and I don't even care about my tummy because I'm so happy.
Yeah.
But there are other days where we want to like be sexy and like take a snap, a fiery snap, and that's okay too.
Yeah. I love that you dive into the okayness with both, right? And I think that a lot of women, as you said, if they're not exposed to media or the industry, um, will look at a photo of themselves where maybe they're not sitting in a way that they think they should sit to feel like the most sexy in a photo, or as you said, are experiencing lighting that is not the most ideal, and look at photos and think, well, this is just, I don't like this and this is how I look, so therefore I don't like me, right? When it really is all, it's kind of a game, right? It's like almost like a mind trick that we have to play on ourselves. The two can both be me.
I wish I could give every single woman out there like a proper photo shoot with I work with one of my best friends is a beautiful photographer. Her account is Chic Labelle, and she photographs women. She's just exceptional at photographing women. I wish I could give every woman a photo shoot with like a female empowerment photographer
Yes.
and be present so that I could help them position themselves in certain ways so that they can take away these pictures and see, yes, I show up like this, but I also can show up like this. And like, how great is that, that I have the range of capabilities within me?
Yes. I think that's a great takeaway for everyone listening. If each of us, when we're like, maybe we can't offer our friends a photo shoot, right? But to what I said, we all show up at a wedding with a friend, or we're just with our friends in general, and we want to snap those photos, like you said, on the beach. I think that's a great, like, almost homework assignment or takeaway for all of us, to be that hype girl for our friends when we are taking those photos, to be like, no, we can like feel our most confident, we can feel our most beautiful. Here are things we can do to feel even more of the ways that we know we deserve to feel.
Absolutely. I think it's one of the reasons we've seen a resurgence of like boudoir photography and things like that.
Yes.
It's just women kind of claiming in a world that is constantly critiquing us. It's women claiming their bodies and their images back. I think
Mhm.
that's great.
You mentioned motherhood. I really would love to know, in regards to your body, how have the feelings about your body, or how has your body image shifted since becoming a mother?
Well, I don't think I've ever looked quite so tired as I have since becoming a mother. My baby was just getting over a cold. And if any moms are listening, when your baby is sick, you are up like, I think I would sleep like 2 hours a night. And the rest of the
Oh,
time I'm up with this little baby trying to make her feel better. You like roll out of bed in the morning. And she also likes to grab my hair, right? So my hair is just like all crazy. I look like I've slept 2 hours because I have. And I'm like, I don't even know what's going on.
what day is it?
But what day is it? But that having been said, I think on a more serious note, it's made me more aware of the message that even without speaking, the message I'm sending.
Yeah.
Like I've got this little scrubber to scrub off like the dead feet on your foot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry if that's a bit gross, but
No.
it's like a little scrubber, one of those
Yeah.
rocks, those
Yes.
pumice
Yes.
stones, right? And so it's in our bathroom, and she's seen me scrub my foot once or twice. And the other day she was in her little bath and she took this stone and starts trying to scrub her little baby foot.
That's cute.
You know,
You're like, you
which
have
is
no calluses, girl. You're
I,
okay.
you have the softest feet. Like I eat those toes.
Yeah.
But but I think that was a real powerful moment for me where I was like, every single thing I do,
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
soaking in.
Yeah.
And it's made me very, very careful with even the words I use around clothes.
Hmm.
We all have floaty days, and there
Yeah.
are days where like things fit different, or I don't want anything squeezing my tummy.
Yes.
And so instead of saying, oh, I am too big for these pants, or like, oh, I'm too puffy to wear this, I say, oh, these pants don't make me feel very good today. I'm going to wear
Yes.
something else.
Yes.
So it's really just made me aware of the language, because I think in a world where we're bombarded so much, especially children, they're being bombarded so much with images and words about how they look. We need to be that safe space that constantly
Yeah.
reminds them. And we can't be that unless we're that for ourselves.
Yes. Like the strongest example you can set is how you treat you, and
Mm.
then give your child the opportunity to, yes, right now, but in the future, remember that and treat themselves with that same level of care. And I'm sure, no parent is perfect, no human is perfect. Like you're never going to do and say all of the right things. But I can imagine deciding to proactively shift how you speak about yourself and how you show up is not something that is going to be, left behind with your child. It truly is something. I think a lot of us, like, our core memories of how we feel about our bodies come from childhood stories, oftentimes from conversations with our parents. And like I've heard so many women say, well, my mom told me this was too big, or that this didn't look good on me, and so forever I've thought that. I mean, I've had that experience too. You're shaking your head. We've all had those moments. And so for you as a parent to proactively be like, I'm going to try my hardest for my child to not have that experience, so that they can go and create their own, hopefully positive experience around their body, is, I feel like, one of the greatest things you can do as a parent, in my personal opinion.
Well, and I think with the most recent research, I mean, there's new research that shows that by 3 years old, like girl toddlers are more aware of their appearance than boy toddlers. And by
Wow.
6, a huge majority of them are expressing that they think of themselves as too big, too fat, that they're not comfortable in their bodies by 6 years old now. And
Wow.
so, like, again, I think as parents, we've got to do everything we can to fight against that.
I'm sure even more so now because of, as you said, the exposure to media from children. And of course, children are experiencing what their parents are saying, doing, and soaking that in, but then experiencing and soaking in what they're seeing online, on television, out in the world.
Well, especially online. I mean, part of my platform now is about educating other parents what's happening
Yeah.
online, because I
Yeah.
think a lot of us don't people my age don't spend a lot of time on TikTok or like scrolling reels. And
Right.
if you're not in that space, you don't realize that every single week, especially on TikTok, there's a brand new beauty related trend. And it's not just like, try this new blush. It's like, here's the way my nose is bad. Is
Yes.
yours like, or here's the way my eyes don't match my lips. Like, does yours match?
Yeah.
It's, can you fit these headphones around your waist? Can you
Yeah.
hide behind a sheet of paper? Like, oh my God, what is this? And, and if we're
It's
not
so true.
educated about that, like, oh, it's horrific. And I, I'm a grown adult, and it is building new insecurities in me that I've never thought about, where suddenly I'm like, oh, wait a second, do I have eyebrow blindness? Like, do I have the right
Oof.
eyebrows for my face? What is this?
Danae, so full circle to what we were saying at the beginning about insecurity and how you can create a new insecurity for yourself based on what someone is saying that you've never, ever, ever had an issue with. And then thinking about how that would be for a child.
Mhm.
There's all this conversation happening right now about Sephora being like the place that young women want to go to. And like, listen, I love skincare. I love makeup. Like, I think it's all so fun. Some of my favorite memories are like with my godmother and my aunt, like playing with their makeup and playing like with all of their like pretty things when I was young. And so I get it, but it's like priming these young girls from a very young age to go and think like that is forever what's going to bring them satisfaction and happiness, and that's kind of, it takes away to me, and maybe it's not this way for children, but to me, like remembering that being such a fun, playful thing, it almost feels like it takes away some of that innocence that we had when we were young, like playing with like makeup and hair things.
I
No.
think it stretches into consumerism in general. Like, look at the pressure around Stanley Cups, right?
Yeah.
I a mom I follow was talking about how she had sent her daughter to school with a non-Stanley Cup, but it looked like a Stanley Cup, but it wasn't. And her daughter got made fun of. And,
Oh,
when you are a 10-year-old little girl, if everyone's making fun of you, like, that's heartbreaking.
yeah.
But it shouldn't be this way. Like, who the heck cares if you have a Stanley Cup or not? But social media has definitely, it runs through these trend cycles so quickly,
Yeah.
and it's impossible to keep up, and it's all
Yes.
tied to consumerism. And I do think you're right. I think it threatens to strip away the innocence of children, and so it's,
Yeah.
how do we navigate that in this age?
Well, I think you're doing a beautiful job in what you're sharing. And I love that, our platforms constantly change. Well, the social media platforms themselves are constantly changing. And being someone who creates on the platform, you therefore have to constantly change. And an audience is always changing, right? And just as you are changing and growing in your life, I think it's really exciting to see you sharing that change and growth with your audience, and then therefore all getting to grow together, having other women who are moms like feel again validated in seeing your experience and what you're sharing. And so I applaud you for that, and like being again in another area of your life so vulnerable and letting people in to share that experience.
Well, I thank you. I'm
You're
really lucky
welcome.
that I have such a beautiful community, because I think being a mom is tricky, and none of us get it quite right. But we sure as heck try.
Yeah. I want to talk about the concept of it's too late. You mentioned that you'll soon be 38 and you're really appreciating this content coming out from women about embracing aging, right? And feeling confident at every age, wearing what they want, doing what they want. And just as much as there's so much content out there right now about that, and we are feeling more empowered as women getting older and appreciating the concept of aging, there is still the idea out there of it being too late, right? Maybe too late to wear what you want to wear, to do what you want to do. And I even hear women saying it's too late for their confidence journey. Like, oh, well, I'm in my 50s and this has been my life up to this point. And so it's okay. Like, I'll leave that for the younger women, the younger generation to embrace confidence. So I want to know whether it be to the 50-year-old woman, the 70-year-old woman, the 20-year-old woman, um, if she thinks it's too late to get started on her confidence journey, what would you say to her?
I would say for anyone who thinks it's too late in general, whatever that looks like for you, like, my gosh, let's rewrite that story. I talked about this publicly. I was in a relationship when I turned 30. I broke up. I was single. I moved to Dubai by myself. I had a cat. I thought like there's so much pressure on women to get married young, to have it figured out young, to have your life mapped in a very
Yeah.
certain way very young.
Yeah.
And I'm so lucky. I'm so thankful that I didn't rush into marrying the wrong person because of this narrative, that I didn't rush into the wrong life career because that's what I was told I should do. I think don't push yourself, don't rush yourself. Allow yourself that space to grow, whether it is with your relationship. If
Yeah.
it's not the right one for you, that's okay. You don't have to stay with them, right? Especially if they're not very good for your mental health or your body image. You
Yes.
don't have to stay. But also with your job, if it's pulling you down, maybe question, like, where do you want your life to go? How can you get there? What will bring you joy, and how do you obtain that? And with your confidence journey, of course, it falls into this as well. Like, it is never too late. I read
Yeah.
something the other day that said every 7 years we become someone new. So if you look at who
Yes.
you were 7 years ago, you are not that person anymore. And you might not realize it because the changes happen so gradually,
Hmm.
but they're happening.
Yes.
And when you look back, I feel like it's climbing that mountain. You're taking those little steps and you don't realize that you're getting there.
Yeah.
So with confidence, like, absolutely start today because you don't know where you will go. There
Yes.
was there was a time in my eating disorder where I remember my therapist, like, she said, "What's your favorite candy?" And I said, "Oh, Reese's, Reese's." And she's like, "Okay, my goal for you is that you eat a Reese's and you don't think about the calories, you don't feel guilty, you don't restrict before or after. You just eat it. You just eat it.
Yeah.
It's not a reward, it's not a naughty thing. It's just a nice food." And I remember at the time thinking, "Well, that's insane. That's never going to happen." And then I look at myself now, and like this morning for breakfast, I had a cappuccino and like chocolate donut. And it has not, no guilt has crossed my mind. There's not been a moment of,
Yes. Yes.
okay, I
Yes.
need to suffer or restrict. So the growth will happen. You just have to allow yourself that space and trust in yourself.
I wish I could remember where I heard this, but a quote that has really stuck with me is that it's okay to change your mind. I think a lot of times, whether it be our career or our relationship, we feel like we have to stay the same, or we have to stay the course with whatever we agreed to then. We have to say now, even thinking about being a young person deciding to go to college and say, this is what I'm going to study, and feeling like that's forever what you have to do, right? We feel so tied to what we agree to. And of course, if we make ourselves a promise, we want to see it through. But it's also okay to change your mind.
I agree with you so much. I think we make decisions with the information we have
Hmm.
at the time. And as we go on, maybe we learn more information. Maybe we learn, we think we will love the color purple in our house, or green couches. So we
Yeah.
buy green couches. And with time, we realize, wait a second, green gives me headaches. So this is a
Yeah.
silly example. But so we're allowed to use that new information to change our decision.
So I always ask people who come on the show, like, what confidence means to them. And I think we have really seen what confidence means to you. But I would also love to know, outside of your body, what makes you feel most confident?
I think I feel the most confident when I'm moving. I really, really love sport. I love exercise. It's been a huge part of my life. And like, I think I feel the most beautiful version of myself, like at the end of a workout where I am sweaty and pink cheeks and my hair is all a mess. It's just those happy endorphins.
That ties in so well with what we're going to be talking about at the BogCon 2024 as well. The concept of movement and the happiness found in movement, the excitement, the satisfaction, not seeing it as something that has to be a punishment to our bodies, but something that can be enjoyable, whether that looks like a walk or Pilates or dancing. I know we had a really awesome guest on the podcast, Sarah Gaines of Joy Flow Movement, and she coaches women through just like joyful, playful dance, and it doesn't have to be choreographed. It's just the concept of your body moving, how your body feels led. And so I love that you share that about movement, because that's definitely, I know, something that also brings me joy, brings me confidence, but I'm really excited for us as a community to get to experience together, even if we can't physically be together, experience together around the world on the conference.
Absolutely. Movement. I mean, look at women throughout history. We've always done movement together, and there's something really empowering and joyful, absolutely joyful about it.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Yes, me too. It's going to be awesome. Danae, what is your favorite piece of content that you've ever created in all of your years on social media?
I think writing is a big part of a lot of my posts, because that's kind of my background is as a writer and as a journalist. And there's a post I did years ago where my housemate at the time drew a wave on my skin and wrote, you have the waves of the skin writ on your skin, or something like that, but still you doubt your beauty, your power. It's not the exact line, but she wrote something really powerful, and then I was able to write a really powerful caption around it that moved my heart. It connected. I think so much of our body is tied to the universe. I know that's a bit hippie, but I think it's true. So I'm
I
really
love it.
proud of that piece. And actually, some people went out and got tattoos of it. So it was
Oh, it's
kind of surreal
iconic.
to see. Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
So that
that's
would be my
beautiful.
favorite. But I
I
just
love that.
butchered the quote. I'll have to find it for you.
Danae, obviously, we're going to see you as a part of the BogCon 2024. So excited to see you there in November. But I want to know, what else can we look out for from Danae? Where can we find you? How can we stay, up with all of the awesome content that you're creating?
Well, I think the easiest way would be obviously Instagram, but then we have a private protected Facebook group of over 40,000 women.
Wow.
We've got a newsletter that often comes out with free self-love journals or self-love wallpapers or other just free goodies. So the newsletter link will be in my bio on Instagram, as will be the Facebook group.
Awesome. Danae, thank you so much for everything that you've shared. Thank you for this conversation. And thanks in advance for the awesome, just empowering conversation I know you're going to bring to the conference. I can't wait. It's going to be great.
I'm so excited too. So thank you for having me.
Yes,
It's been such a joy getting to talk.
of course. You too. Thank you so much. And I'll see you soon.